My brother totaled my car and demanded I buy him a new one. My parents say it's my fault for lending it to him. I, 28M, still can't believe I'm writing this, but I need some outside perspective because my family situation has become completely insane. Last month, my brother called me desperately needing to borrow my car for what he claimed was an important job interview. He said his car was in the shop and he couldn't afford an Uber to the interview location, which was about an hour away. I was hesitant since my car, a 2019 Honda Civic, was the first new car I'd ever bought, and I'm still making payments on it. But he's my brother, and he seemed genuinely desperate, so I agreed under the strict condition that he return it the same day. That was my first mistake. He didn't return the car that evening as promised. When I called him, his phone went straight to voicemail. I spent the whole night worried sick, calling repeatedly and texting both him and our parents. Nobody had heard from him. I was about to report the car stolen when he finally called me at 6 a.m. the next morning. "There's been an accident," he said, his voice shaky. My heart dropped. He proceeded to tell me he'd fallen asleep at the wheel on his way back and crashed into a guardrail. The car was totaled. But here's where it gets even more twisted. There was no job interview. He'd driven 3 states over to meet someone he'd been talking to online. I was speechless. When I finally found my voice, I asked about insurance. That's when he dropped the second bomb. He had been driving on a suspended license. My insurance wouldn't cover anything because he wasn't supposed to be driving at all. I lost it. I told him he needed to figure out how to pay for my car since he'd lied to me and destroyed it through his own recklessness. His response? He laughed. Actually laughed. Then he said, and I quote, "This is your fault. You knew I was having financial problems, and you still let me borrow your only transportation. A real brother would have known better. You need to buy me a car now so I can get to work and pay you back for yours." The audacity of his statement left me stunned. Here I was, with a totaled car I was still making payments on, and he was somehow twisting this into being my fault. But it gets worse. My parents got involved at this point, and to my absolute shock, they're partially taking his side. They called me that same afternoon, and my mother's first words weren't to ask if I was okay or how I would manage without a car. Instead, she launched into a lecture about how I should have known better than to lend him my car given his history. He's totaled 2 of his own cars in the past through reckless driving. They're suggesting I dip into my savings to buy him a reliable used car so he can keep his job, and then we can work out a payment plan for my car. When I pointed out the absurdity of buying a car for someone who just destroyed mine through lies and reckless behavior, my father chimed in with, "He's your brother. Family helps family." The irony of this statement, considering my brother's complete disregard for how his actions affected me, was not lost. I refused their suggestion outright. This triggered what I can only describe as a coordinated family campaign against me. My brother started telling everyone in the extended family that I'm trying to ruin his life and career. He's spinning this narrative that I set him up to fail by lending him my car when I knew he was desperate. He's conveniently leaving out the parts about his suspended license and the fake job interview. The family response has been overwhelming. Half of them are blowing up my phone with messages about how I need to step up as the responsible older brother and help him out. The other half is staying suspiciously quiet, which in my family usually means they disagree but don't want to get involved in the drama. My brother lost his job 2 weeks ago because he couldn't get to work. We live in an area with virtually no public transportation, and my parents have turned this into another weapon against me. They call daily to update me on his deteriorating situation, heavily implying that each new development is my fault. He couldn't make his rent payment this month, my mother said yesterday, her voice dripping with accusation. I hope you're happy with what you're doing to him. The manipulation reached new heights when I discovered he's been telling people I offered him my car, knowing about his suspended license, because I wanted him to fail. This is absolutely not true. He never mentioned his license was suspended. I would have never lent him my car if I'd known. But some relatives have latched onto this version of events, sending me messages about how cruel it was to set my own brother up for failure. Meanwhile, I'm stuck making payments on a totaled car, taking the bus to work myself, a 3-hour round-trip journey, and being treated like the family villain. My brother has developed this bizarre pattern where he'll call me late at night, alternating between angry demands that I buy him a car and tearful apologies that always end with an explanation of why this is actually all my fault. Yesterday marked a new low in this ongoing nightmare. My brother showed up at my apartment with my parents in tow, all of them ready to talk sense into me. I could see them through the peephole, my brother gesturing wildly while my parents nodded along. I refused to open the door. This led to a series of increasingly angry texts about how I'm tearing the family apart over just a car. Just a car. Just the vehicle I depend on for work, that I saved for years to buy, that I'm still paying for despite it being wrapped around a guardrail 3 states away. Just the car that my brother destroyed while driving on a suspended license to meet someone he met online, after lying to me about a job interview. I've spoken to my insurance company multiple times, but their position hasn't changed. Because he was driving on a suspended license, they won't cover anything. I consulted with a lawyer who told me I could sue my brother for the damages, but also warned me that it would likely be pointless since he has no assets and no money. Even if I won, I'd never collect. The financial reality is crushing. I'm stuck making payments on a car I can't use while also needing to somehow save for a replacement. My savings, which my parents think I should use to buy my brother a car, are barely enough to cover a down payment on a replacement for myself. And now my brother has started telling people I'm hoarding money while watching him suffer. The latest development came this morning. My mother called to inform me that my brother's probation officer has scheduled a check-in for next week. She didn't directly ask me not to mention the accident if anyone official comes asking questions, but her meaning was clear. Family business should stay in the family. I'm torn about this. On one hand, he's my brother, and the thought of being responsible for sending him to jail makes me sick. On the other hand, he drove on a suspended license, destroyed my car, lied about it, and is now trying to make me the bad guy. His probation terms clearly stated he wasn't supposed to drive, but he did it anyway, and now everyone expects me to help cover it up. The stress is affecting every aspect of my life. My work performance is suffering because I'm exhausted from the long bus commute. I can't sleep because I'm worried about money and angry about the situation. Every time my phone rings, I tense up, expecting another guilt trip from family members. I've started seeing a therapist to help deal with the anxiety, but I can barely afford the sessions now that I'm paying for a car I can't use. Last night, I got a text from my brother that really summed up the whole situation. It read, "I know I messed up, but you're making it worse by not helping me fix it. My life is falling apart, and you're just watching it happen. What kind of brother are you?" I haven't responded. I don't know how to respond. Am I insane for refusing to buy my brother a car after he destroyed mine? Should I give in to keep the peace? The financial hit would be huge. I'd be paying for 2 cars, and I honestly don't believe I'd ever see a dime from my brother based on his history. But the family pressure is intense, and I'm starting to doubt myself. Edit, since many are asking. Yes, I've looked into every possible insurance and legal option. Because he had a suspended license, my insurance won't cover anything. I can sue him for the damages, but he has no assets and no money, so it would likely be pointless. I'm stuck with the payments on a totaled car while also needing to figure out how to get a replacement for myself. Edit 2. To those asking about pressing charges, I'm considering it, but it's complicated. He's technically already on probation for previous driving offenses, and my parents are begging me not to ruin his life by reporting this. They keep saying family should handle things privately. I'm torn between wanting justice and not wanting to be responsible for sending my brother to jail, even though he seems to have no problem ruining my life. Edit 3. Thank you for all the responses. Reading them has helped me realize how much I've been gaslit by my family. I'm going to speak with my therapist about setting better boundaries and work on not letting their manipulation affect me so much. As for my brother's probation situation, I've decided that if anyone official asks me questions, I'm going to tell the truth. His choices led to this situation, not mine.